Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Danielle Willis. Willis was shot and killed on Wednesday, April 1st, 2009, in the 2300 block of El Segundo Boulevard in Willowbrook, according to LA County coroner records. Edward Moreno was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. On April 1st, 2009, at approximately 3 p.m., Ms. Henderson was walking to the Chapala market on El Segundo Boulevard with victim Danielle and a friend of his whose name Henderson didn't know. Shortly before arriving at the market, they, quote, got into a gangbanging altercation in front of a church with 3 or 4 Hispanic males, including defendant Moreno. During the altercation, defendant kept on grabbing his waistband, representing he was holding a gun. Ms. Henderson didn't remember the words spoken, but recalled telling a detective she heard one of the males saying Varrio, Largo. The victim's friend was trying to keep the peace, basically. Ms. Henderson left the altercation and walked by herself into the market. Mr. Gutierrez testified he was standing outside the Chapala market when he saw 3 African Americans get into a discussion with 3 Hispanic males. The African Americans then walked to the store and the Hispanics went toward the church. Gutierrez testified they were not arguing and he could not hear what was being said. However, a week after the incident, Gutierrez told LA County Sheriff Sergeant Luis Nunez it looked like they were gonna fight and the Hispanics repeatedly yelled Largo. Ms. Henderson testified that after the victim and his friend entered the market, she looked outside and saw the defendant and his friends near the church taking their shirts off and putting them around their necks. The victim made a statement to her. When they left the store, Ms. Henderson started to cross El Segundo Boulevard and the victim and his friend walked toward the church. When Henderson was in the middle of the street, she heard 7 gunshots. She looked in the direction of the church and saw the victim come from behind a truck and fall to the ground. Sheriff deputies found 5 expended .22 caliber shell casings at or near the entrance of the driveway to the church. The victim was taken to the hospital but died 3 or 4 hours later after surgical efforts to treat his gunshot wounds proved unsuccessful. Sheriff deputies set up a containment of the area around the church. LA County Sheriff Detective Aaron Gutierrez found defendant and 2 other male Hispanics sitting in the living room of a nearby home. All 3 admitted they were members of Compton, Varrio, Largo. Defendant said his name was Little One. LA County Sheriff Sergeant Luis Nunez interviewed 17-year-old defendant twice on the day of the shooting, once at the Century Regional Detention Center and once in the parking lot of the church. In the first interview, defendant initially admitted he had been involved in the incident but denied that he was the shooter. Defendant said he and his friend left school and went to the area of the Chapala market and one of his friends shot the man. Defendant said he and 2 companions were together and that they were in the driveway of the church waiting for the black guys because he thought they were gonna fight. Defendant said one of the black males was from Grape Street and the other was from Swans. Defendant eventually admitted he pulled out his weapon and fired because the victim reached into his pocket. Defendant demonstrated to Sergeant Nunez that the victim reached with his left hand across his body to his right side. Defendant admitted he didn't see the victim with a gun. Defendant said he left school, met a friend, went home and got a gun for protection, and then went to the area of the Chapala market. Defendant indicated he discarded the gun as he fled. He agreed to show Sergeant Nunez where he discarded the weapon, and the second interview took place in the parking lot of the church. Audio tape recordings for both interviews were played for the jury. A deputy medical examiner testified the victim sustained 4 gunshot wounds. The first entered the back of his left upper arm. The second and third wounds were both to the left lower back area. The bullet that caused one of the wounds traveled from back to front and upwards, causing injury to the small intestine. It appeared this bullet struck the victim as he fell or bent forward. The 4th gunshot wound was to his right forearm, entering at the inner back and exiting the outer part of the forearm. The victim had metabolites of cocaine and marijuana in his system. He died of severe hemorrhaging caused by multiple gunshot wounds. LA County Sheriff Detective Eric Arias testified as a gang expert. Compton Varrio Largo is a criminal street gang with approximately 200 members. The shooting in this case occurred in territory claimed by this gang. Grape Street is an African American gang whose territory is approximately 1.5 miles north of where the incident occurred. Varrio Largo does not get along with any African American gang except 2 that border its territory. In response to a hypothetical question based on the facts of this case, Detective Arias opined that the shooting was committed in association with and for the benefit of Varrio Largo. Following the trial, defendant Edward Moreno was convicted by a jury of first-degree murder, including gang and gun enhancements. The court sentenced defendant to 25 years to life for the first-degree murder and imposed a consecutive 25 years to life for the enhancement. Danielle Willis was 21 years old at the time of death.